What is up today, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is a monumental, is that the right word? Monumental day, that is the right word. We are finally going to start working on Ole Blue again. I know I've worked on this truck a few times in the past, but almost exploded it and Mom had a heart attack, so I stopped. But now I think I know what's wrong with it for real, so we're gonna go ahead and tear into this, and I need to change my camera battery. But let's get started. Okay guys, so like I said in the intro, today we are working on Ole Blue. I'm gonna give you a little backstory. Ole Blue is a 1988 Ford F-250, four-wheel drive, 5-speed manual. It's got the ZF5 transmission, and it has a 300 inline 6 engine, which is currently non-running. And I think I know why. Now, a little more backstory. This was my first truck. It was the very first vehicle I ever bought, and it has been for sale for pretty close to, I want to say, almost 2 years. I think this winter will be 2 years that this truck has been sitting and for sale. So we're gonna go from here, and basically what I'm gonna do today is, or what I think is wrong with it is, I think the timing gears are stripped out. One of them from the factory, I'm pretty sure it's the cam gear, has a nylon band that has the teeth on it, and those teeth strip out to the point that it's constantly out of time, no matter how hard you try to time it. So what I'm gonna do today is pull the head and make sure there's no valve damage and no cylinder damage, and make sure that that is not the problem. And then if that is the case, depends on how far we'll get today. This might be broken up into a multi-part series, but we're gonna start by pulling all of the top end stuff off, intake, exhaust, all of that, and we are gonna pull the head. Well, we might not pull the exhaust because it might not come off, but the plan for today is to get the head off, inspect the valve train, and inspect the cylinders and pistons, and make sure everything is okay in the top end. And if everything is fine there, then I'm going to attempt to get into the timing cover and see if that is the issue with those timing gears. If it is the issue, this should be a relatively simple fix. And if that's the problem, I'm going to get a set of Melling aluminum or cast iron timing gears that are solid metal with no polymer on them. That way they won't break again. So let's get into it. Okay guys, I don't know how good this lighting is going to be. I can't really see my... Oh, that's pretty good. So this is what we're working with here. Like I said, this engine hasn't been turned over or moved in pretty close to a year now. So as you can see, the spiders, well, maybe you can't, maybe you can. I don't know if you can, but the spiders have made themselves at home, and this whole thing is covered in cobwebs. I also neglected the fact that I left the intake open to the throttle body, so that could be an issue as well. But anyway, let's just go over this. So these engines from the factory, they made about anywhere from 105 to 185 horsepower, depending on the year, if they were fuel injected or carbureted, if they were industrial or for a vehicle. I'm pretty sure this was a 185 horsepower model. These made around 210 foot-pounds of torque from the factory, but with the plans I have for this whole engine, we can do a little more than 185 horse and 200 foot-pounds of torque. But let's go ahead and start tearing into this. I'm gonna just set up a time lapse. I'll explain things as I feel necessary, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Okay guys, so as you just saw in that time lapse, I pulled all the vacuum lines off the upper intake plenum there and got the EGR disconnected, which is right there. It's hanging above the engine. That runs down to the exhaust pipe. And I got the upper intake plenum off. So this is your intake manifold. This is not your intake plenum, this is your intake manifold. And all of the gaskets in this engine are going to be shot just because they're old. And I got a couple vacuum lines disconnected here. So we're going to go, right now I'm going to pull off the valve cover. And we are going to turn over the engine by hand if it's not seized up, and see if everything seems to be okay with the valve train. And then after we check out the valve train, I'm going to go ahead and try and get the head off, hopefully without injuring myself. And we will check out the pistons and the cylinders and everything to make sure that's okay. And then we'll go from there, guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video so far. I've been waiting for literally years to do this kind of a project on this truck. And stupid cicadas. Cicadas are the dumbest insect ever. I hate them. But anyway, I've been waiting for so long to do this project on this truck specifically. I've done basically the same exact project on Old Black Beauty over here. This has had the heads off 4 times, so I'm pretty good at pulling stuff apart, but this engine has never been apart from what I understand, and this is the first time it's coming apart, so I hope everything's okay. If it is, we'll just go ahead and start working on getting the timing cover off. But I think what we need to do first is figure out a way to drain the coolant before we get the head off. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the valve cover, check the valves, check everything, make sure the whole top end of the head is okay, and then we will, if that's okay, then we'll work on getting the coolant out of this thing and getting the head off. So here we go.
What do you mean?
Alrighty guys, so we got the valve cover pulled off of here, and this is probably the cleanest old Ford I think I've ever seen. There's like no sludge or anything in the bottom. It is just completely clean. Nothing looks bent or cracked or broken,
well, this engine
which is good.
Banged.
Oh, bang! Bang Energy, please sponsor me.
You wish.
But anyway guys, so now we have the tricky part, which is going to be, well, first off, we're gonna turn this over and make sure it all works fine. Everything feels like it's okay. It doesn't feel like anything super loose or bent or broken. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this over a little bit. Probably not gonna film that because it's kind of irrelevant. I'm just gonna make sure it turns over because it's been sitting with the spark plugs out of it for a year and it could be seized up now, but we're gonna go from here. I'm gonna do a little bit of work and then I'm gonna drain the coolant, and we're gonna get the fuel rails off and probably the intake manifold, and I'll probably leave the exhaust manifolds on if I can because the chances that that comes out are very low. So we're gonna go ahead and try and figure this dude out. Here we go. Okay guys, so as you can see, I'm shirtless. I took a little break from working on the truck today. Getting a little hot, so there it is. There we go. All right, so I'll tell you where we're at. So like I said before, we got the valve cover off and everything works fine. I've got this bracket unbolted here and here. I've got the coolant drain and everything disconnected except this right here. The alternator bracket needs taken off, and I also need to take off the intake and exhaust manifolds if I can. And that's where I stopped for the day, so that's going to be the end of this first video. But the good news is that everything seems to be coming apart very nicely, and and that everything seems to be working, and the engine is super clean on the inside. That valve cover is, or the top of the head, the valve train is completely spotless. No rust, no sludge, just nice oil, and that is a good thing. So I will catch you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and drop a like on this video. Catch y'all on the next one. Wait a minute.